Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let it go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, just insane.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula 3 iRacing League. Today, we're at the Red Bull Ring, Round 7, Season 7, the Austrian Grand Prix. I'm your host, James East, with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, bringing the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, as qualifying starting to wrap up here at the Austrian Grand Prix, and looking forward to another great race. Welcome to our fans, friends, and family. Tune in from across the world, supporting the league, supporting the drivers, as well as supporting the broadcast. Last week we saw Ray Aguilar and Finley Fitzsimmons bring home wins in the feature and sprint race. Fitzsimmons interrupting the 3-win streak Aguilar had. Will Fitzsimmons come out on top today, or will Ray Aguilar hold on to the current points lead? Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on. Drivers will frequently have the broadcast pulled up on a separate monitor. If not, they just about always go back and watch the show after the race. And let me tell you, they definitely notice and appreciate the fans coming out for them. Waiting for a couple more drivers to finish their qualifying runs. Looks like Gareth McAllister, Julian Madore will be the last two drivers out on track here. McAllister has an off track, so I think he will not be finishing his qualifying. That is correct. And let's get ready to put him out onto the grid. Starting on pole, Finley Fitzsimmons, the defending champion. Ray Aguilar starts second. Jaden Calloway starting third. Ryan Tebow starting fourth. Michael Fairchild starting fifth. Felipe Sarkis starting sixth. Antonio Bianchi starting seventh. John Kasai starts eighth. Gareth McAllister, the world-famous Australian, starting ninth. Xavier Zanave, the flying Frenchman, starting 10th. Julian Madore starts 11th. Devin Hughes, a newcomer, will be starting 12th. Cycling in the back, we've got Shaji Zuhair starting 13th. Connor Scribner starting 14th. Evan Alexander starting 15th. Marcus Wen starts 16th. Felipe Ramos starting 17th. Ricardo Espino starting 18th. And Julia Cervone will round out the 19-car grid here today. Waiting for a few more drivers to make their way out onto the grid. And then we will get things started here at the Red Bull Ring. Waiting for a large portion of the drivers to make their way onto the grid. Over half the field waiting to hop on. Looks like most of the drivers have made it. Ricardo Espino join us in the spectator area. Still waiting on Zuhair. That number 10 machine starting 13th. Not sure if they're going to make it in time here. The rest of the field is set. Very quickly running out of time to make it for this opening feature event. 42 laps or 45 minutes, whatever comes first. And here we go, getting things started. We are underway. Ray Aguilar quickly takes over the race lead here. Oh, and just got an update. There is no sprint race. This is one of the Grand Prix style events where it is a 1 hour shootout, 42 minutes, whatever comes first. And we've already got a heated battle for the lead. Fitzsimmons and Aguilar side by side. You can see the field lagging behind, slightly behind the rest of the field. Ryan Tebow moves up into third. Fitzsimmons holds on to the race lead, but we've got problems reported. A big incident. That's going to be Michael Fairchild, Marcus Wynn, Evan Alexander, all involved in some crashes. We pan over to Xavier Zanave, the flying Frenchman, the number 12, and we get a report Evan Alexander takes a tow back to pit road, done and out of this thing already. Gutted for the driver, the 77. Had the opportunity to talk to Alexander last week following the event. A super likable newcomer to the series. Oh, it looked like netcode was going to be the problem there for Alexander. And unfortunately, we'll be spending the duration of the event from the outside looking in. If you take a tow here at League Zero, you are done and out. Oh, was that Devin Hughes? No, that was Xavier Zanave, a bit of a bobble. Zanave falls back to 8th, losing the spot to Hughes' number 60 machine. And it's getting mighty racy here as we watch Michael Fairchild take an alternative line way off track. And an extremely busy raceway. So again, if you're just now tuning in, this is the Grand Prix style event. Oh no, what happened to Kasai? Missing all sorts of parts there in number 3. I think he's surely gonna have to take a tow. Grabs too much curbing and just slams into the wall here at the ring. The battle for the lead still going on. Fitzsimmons and Aguilar trading a little bit of paint. It looks like a lockup there from Aguilar. Now the rule here is if you take a tow back to pit road, you are done and out of the event. So Kasai may try and limp this thing around. Jaden Calloway finds himself off track. The number 37 was one of the fastest drivers in practice and qualifying. Waits for a safe opportunity to get back on the circuit. As we go back to the battle for the lead between Fitzsimmons and Aguilar. Separated by just about 1/4 of a second, and another crash report. Devin Hughes may have somehow crashed into pit road. Oh, a huge moment there from Hughes. And decides, you know what, now's a good time to come down pit road. No, gets back out on the circuit. Fitzsimmons and Aguilar, we're 3 laps in. Neither driver wants to yield and fall back into second. Aguilar does have the fastest lap of the race, a 1:25.61. And we did get a pit road report. John Kasai was able to limp it around the circuit down to pit road. On board with Aguilar, running in second, exactly where he started. I'm a bit surprised that Aguilar and Fitzsimmons have shown so much aggression off the start. I would have suspected they were going to take things a little bit easy and continue building up a gap in the rest of the field. Now, they do have about a 2-second margin over Ryan Tebow, who has worked that number 27 machine up into third. Julius Cerrone off track in the number 19. Oh, just caught a little bit of the dirt there. Sends it sliding around. Gareth McAllister just clicked off the fastest lap of the race in 4th in that number 25 machine, a 125.17. As we're watching a 3-car battle for 5th. Antonio Bianchi, Felipe Sarkis, Connor Scribner, 5th, 6th, and 7th. You can also see Xavier Zanave lagging slightly behind, as well as Michael Fairchild and Zuhair off in the background. A freight train of cars here. Oh, Sarkis has a big blink. That's going to be a little bit exciting if he tries to make a move on Bianchi for 5th. And also puts Connor Scribner's 89 machine in a tough spot as well, not knowing when and where Scribner can safely make a pass. Scribner currently our hard charger up 7 positions thus far. And let's see, we got a crash report, Servone's 19 machine. Thankfully, as far as crashes go, doesn't get much more gentle than that. Fitzsimmons and Aguilar both click off their fastest laps of the race. Fitzsimmons gets the fastest overall, a 124.45. Marcus Wynn comes down pit road. Zuhair putting the pressure on Michael Fairchild, but he's got Jaden Callaway, Midori, Ramos not too far behind. Callaway had that massive off track, causing him to lose 8 positions. And now Callaway getting back on the throttle, trying to work through the field. Now, thankfully for him, it is this hour-long format, so plenty of opportunity to try and get back up into the mix. Things getting a little bit more exciting up here in the battle for 9th. On board with Callaway, he's got Zuhair and Fairchild lined up ahead. Gonna be interesting to see, maybe Callaway's gonna try and just stay behind and get a draft worked up on the start-finish line. It's gonna be interesting to see what the race strategy is. Callaway's got the run. Right on the gearbox of Zuhair, tucks to the inside into turn 1. And Callaway will get the pass complete. Oh no, that was Ricardo Espino, sends it sliding around in 1. Devin Hughes will get a breakaway in that 14th place spot. Turning the camera back to 9th. Now Michael Fairchild has Callaway in the rearview mirror. Fairchild down 4 spots from where he qualified. Callaway down 7. Let's make it 6 as Callaway pulls up alongside that 88 machine. Working the outside in the 37. Fairchild will hold the defensive line. Up front, your top 3 is Fitzsimmons, Aguilar, Tebow. A fair amount of distance between those top 3 drivers. As we continue watching this battle for 9th, Callaway is going to give it another go here against Fairchild. It looks like Fairchild trying to make sure he stays on that inside line, telling Callaway, hey, if you're going to go around, you're going to take the long way. And here's the battle for 5th, Antonio Bianchi and Felipe Sarkis. Sarkis, a big bobble there, is going to lose about 3/4 of a second. That's going to put Connor Scribner in striking range. Callaway looks to be side by side with Fairchild. Zuhair and Mador closing up behind. You can also see Felipe Ramos about a second off this pack. Oh, Fairchild sends it in against Callaway. It looks like a little bit of contact between the two. Callaway is off track. Fairchild takes back over 9th. Callaway's going to fall back to 13th, but look at that. Zuhair wants to interject himself in this party, squeezing into the top 9, trying to get a wheel in front of Fairchild. They're side by side here at the Austrian Grand Prix. And look at that, here comes Julian Mador, the 78. Also wanting to join the hunt here. And this is the battle for 9th, ladies and gentlemen. These guys are going at it, making moves every spot they can. Fairchild 2/10 ahead of this battle. Looks like Zuhair and Mador stay linked up, wing to gearbox. Looked like Zuhair was getting within striking distance of Fairchild, backs out of it slightly. And we continue with a absolute freight train of drivers. Focusing in on Felipe Ramos. As Callaway right ahead, I hear a little bit of bodywork dragging on some of these drivers. The curbing can really upset the cars here at Red Bull Ring, especially in these open wheel Formula 3 machines. Antonio Bianchi holding on to 5th with Felipe Sarkis in tow, about 3/10 back. You can also see Connor Scribner's number 89. Scribner's still the hard charger so far of the evening, but Bianchi has to be happy with this run so far. He had some friends betting that he was going to finish 8th here today, so to be running now, let's call it 6th as Felipe Sarkis works the inside line, still has to be very pleased with how things are going. Now let's see, is Bianchi going to fire back against Sarkis, or is he going to be busy with Connor Scribner, who wants to gain his 8th position here? Oh, that was a bit of an odd lockup from Sarkis. Almost in the straight. I'm not sure if Sarkis had a mechanical or what that was, as Bianchi has a moment as well, struggling to put the power down. Scribner all over the back of Bianchi. As it looks like Sarkis gaining about a 3/4 of a second advantage over the rest of the drivers right in tow. We check back in on race leader Finley Fitzsimmons. Actually, as we do that, Ryan Tebow finds himself careening around the surface off track. Looks like that's just out of turn 1, I believe. Well, let's see what happened to Tebow. He was running 3rd, currently 7th on the circuit. Oh, just too much curbing. Around he goes and just takes forever to get that thing fired back up. So the top 3 is changing. It's Fitzsimmons, Aguilar, and McAllister. And look at that freight train of drivers. We're focused in on Jaden Callaway, tucked in side by side with Zuhair. You've also got Mador, Ramos in the mix. This is the battle for a top 10 here. Very impressed. That looks like Felipe Ramos in the 73 machine stays in the line as Medora hops out of the draft here. And Medora actually yields the position to that 73. An interesting take. As we check back in on race leader Fitzsimmons, he did have a bit of an off track, losing a fair amount of time to Aguilar. The difference between the two now 1.3 seconds. Let's see what happened. Oh, just a little wide there, able to hold on to it. But that allowed Aguilar to close the gap to 1.3 seconds. McAllister still holding on to third. He's about 7, let's call it 8 seconds back from the race leader. As we are a quarter of the way through this main event. We still have 17 of the 19 entries still out on track. John Kasai, Evan Alexander had to put it back in the virtual hauler early on. Now Kasai did drive his car back to the pits, and the crew chief took one look at it and said, no way this one's gonna work out. So unfortunately, he will have to wait until next week to make his return. There's Zuhair and Callaway aggressively making some moves there. Callaway a big send up the inside line. And I just heard problems. That was, I think, Medora and Hughes having an incident. Let's check out and see what happened to Medora. No, I think that was that Hughes with the initial incident? Or was that Felipe Ramos has the incident. Medora and Hughes unfortunately getting minorly collected to that. Hopefully not too much damage on their machines. Oh, I thought there was going to be contact there. The trick of the camera angle looked like Zuhair and Callaway had absolutely collided. Very, very close racing here for a top 10. Felipe Ramos comes down pit road after sustaining heavy damage. Now coming into tonight, Ray Aguilar was 50 points ahead of Finley Fitzsimmons, who sits in second. But keep an eye out, Felipe Sarkis, currently fourth on track, is third in our championship. And man, very impressed with Zuhair and Callaway, putting on a fantastic race. There's a little bit of contact between the two. Everybody able to get it through unscathed, but these Formula 3 machines do not handle wheel-to-wheel contact well at all. It is a very easy and fast way to have your race ruined. And the number 10 of Zuhair, the 37 of Callaway, absolutely glued to each other. Now, as we saw in practice and qualifying, Callaway absolutely had the pace. Just has the dial in that consistency. Callaway fourth in points in our championship. About 83 points back from Ray Aguilar. McAllister in third puts off his fastest lap of the race, a 1:25.09, enjoying the clean air on the front of that Aussie back, number 25. As we get the camera panned over to McAllister, he's about 7.5 seconds back from Aguilar, almost 7 seconds ahead of Felipe Sarkis. There's a little bit of lap traffic ahead. I think that's going to be Marcus Wynn in the 55. Yes, that is Wynn indeed, the 55. So the two Aussies linked up here. Wynn, a newcomer here at League Zero, doing a great job in his debut. Qualified 16th. Had to come down pit road very early on, around lap 12. With a 32-second pit stop. McAllister running 9th in points so far this series. He's got 2 less starts than a large portion of the field, only completing 9 races so far. As we check now in on Ray Aguilar in the 72. That is what a 2-second deficit to Fitzsimmons looks like. Going to be very interested to see what the fuel strategy is for these drivers. And we got a report that Felipe Ramos in the 73 has also retired from this event. He had a sneaking suspicion that he may have taken too much damage to continue. Unfortunately, that is the case for Ramos. Ryan Tebow trying to track down Antonio Bianchi. Doesn't quite get the drive that he was looking for. And there we go. Tebow takes over the 6th place spot. Still down 2 spots from where he qualified. And your race leader, Fitzsimmons, just clicks off the fastest lap of the race, a 1:24.349. Continuously getting faster and faster. Oh no, it looks like Ricardo Espino is also going to be forced into early retirement here. Antonio Bianchi, Michael Fairchild coming down pit road. And look at the off track there from Fitzsimmons. Way off in no man's land, able to hold on to it. But he's got to be careful. Those mistakes can very quickly multiply. As Aguilar has been very consistent so far this evening, he is hoping for the defending champ to make more mistakes like that. Oh, and man, Fitzsimmons really working the tires there. You can hear them screaming in protest through turn 1. But Fitzsimmons has found even more time on Aguilar. I'm wondering if Aguilar's backed off the pace here. Maybe doing a little bit of fuel saving. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody goes for a one-stop race. Jaden Calloway down pit road in the 37. Oh, another crash report lighting up. This time it's going to be Devin Hughes. That off-camber right-hander, very tough to figure out. You're hard on the binders. There's no arrow on the car to keep things planted. And oh, that was entirely on braking there. Just a little bit heavy on the left foot goes Hughes. But able to hold on to the 9th place spot. Now I want to get us an onboard here of Ray Aguilar. It doesn't sound like too much fuel saving being done by Aguilar. maybe a little bit of short shifting. So I think Aguilar's maybe trying to make this a one-stop race. So I'm very interested to see what type of strategy is Aguilar trying to develop, trying to pull off here. We wait for the lap times to update. Aguilar a 1:24.76, only 0.3 off of what Fitzsimmons, your race leader, did. Ryan Tebow down pit road for his first green flag stop in the number 27 machine. So it looks to me like currently most drivers might be looking at a two-stop strategy. But are we going to see somebody such as Fitzsimmons, Aguilar, and definitely don't discount Gareth McAllister, the number 25, who's up 6 positions. He is known for being an accidental genius when it comes to fuel strategies. Something with McAllister's driving bodes itself well to fuel management. I would attribute that to all the endurance racing the number 25 machine does. Fitzsimmons on the limiter down pit road. Aguilar will follow suit. What about McAllister? Will he stay out a little while longer? Yes, he will. McAllister stays out. Felipe Sarkis down pit road. As well as Connor Scribner. A little bit of lap traffic ahead of McAllister. That's going to be 12th place from the door. So Fitzsimmons and Aguilar roll back out on track. Fitzsimmons going to have a 5-second gap ahead of Aguilar. Fitzsimmons was actually about 4/10 slower in his pit box. So let's see what McAllister does. Does he box this time? I believe he will get credit for the lap led depending on where his pit stall is. Just a few more short corners to see what the 25 machine's going to do. And yes, McAllister comes down pit road. Where is his pit stall at? Will he get credit for the lap led? I think he will, as he just barely crosses the line there. Here comes Fitzsimmons taking back over the race lead as McAllister is on pit road. McAllister was running third before this pit cycle. McAllister out on track with a 5.7 second pit stop. There's Julia Cervone a lap down from the race leaders. So as our first and possibly only pit stops go, it's Fitzsimmons, Aguilar, McAllister, Sarkis, Tebow, your top 5. Connor Scribner reported with a crash in the number 89 machine. Let's see what happened to Scribner, who's running so well. At one point it was the hard charger in the 89. And just sends it careening around there. So now that things have kind of shaken down a little bit, Fitzsimmons will be just about 4.5 seconds ahead of Aguilar. Zuhair and Wynn come down pit road. That'll be Zuhair's second stop, Wynn's first stop. And man, Fitzsimmons on the ragged edge here, really working those tires. Aguilar 4.5 seconds off the back of the race leader. Like Fitzsimmons has a little bit of lap traffic on the horizon with Connor Scribner, but still a fair amount of distance between the two. The field very stretched out. The green and white cross flags have already been shown to the drivers. Marcus Wynn a little bit. Oh no, we have a report. Marcus Wynn taking a tow back to pit road. Will be done and out of this one. Let's see what happened to the newcomer, the 55. Just pulls over and hits the Alt F4 and says, you know what, I've had enough. Callaway trying to track down the flying Frenchman, Xavier Zanave. Zanave's up 3 spots, currently 7th on track in that number 12. Callaway still down 5 positions from his initial starting spot. Callaway closing the gap rather quickly behind Zanave. Michael Fairchild down pit road. That'll be his second stop of the evening. That'll give Cervone another position. We're on board with Jaden Callaway, who's been having a bit of a roller coaster here this evening. There's lap traffic holding racetrack right to allow the field by, nice and easy. So well done seeing the blue flag and popping out of the way when the opportunity presents itself. Now Fairchild's been on pit road for a minute. Hopefully we see that 88 fire back up, getting back out on track. And man, Callaway having a rough go, trying everything he can to close the gap to Zanave, but Zanave just keeping that forward momentum. .3 separating the two drivers battling for 7th. Now Callaway's the fastest lap of the race, a full half second faster than Zanave. Both drivers on similar strategies here. Zanave came down pit road on lap 19, Callaway on lap 16. Both drivers only took fuel, no tires on their stop. Bit of a yo-yoing back and forth between Callaway and Zenave. 3/4 of a second. You've got lap traffic in the background. Will not be a factor, but let's check back in on race leader Finley Fitzsimmons, holding on to a 4-second margin over Ray Aguilar. Aguilar a full 12.5 seconds up over third place McAllister. And I've got to tell you, McAllister, if he could bring home a podium here today at the Austrian Grand Prix, I think he would be extremely excited. Again, McAllister only running in 9th, but could this maybe get him back in the points hunt? Fitzsimmons and Aguilar running similar lap times last time by. Fitzsimmons a 1:24.96, Aguilar a 1:24.72. I'm also curious to see if off-tracks are going to become a factor before we might start seeing some drivers have to serve some drive-through penalties. Now, the broadcast software doesn't always match up with what iRacing tracks as far as off-track shenanigans. As Fitzsimmons looks like he's kind of in cruise control. There's Ray Aguilar sitting in second, still 13 seconds ahead of Gareth McAllister. And very little traffic there for Aguilar as well. Clean track ahead and behind. Fitzsimmons has, I think it's going to be Connor Scribner just ahead as Fitzsimmons crosses the line with a 1:24.53. Aguilar at 1:25.21, so definitely much further off the pace. Fitzsimmons not catching lap traffic as quickly as I thought he would. And maybe that's for the best. He's got to be very careful here on when he picks his passes, when he's going to try and navigate the traffic. The last thing he wants to do is try and put himself in a precarious position. He's got a 5-second gap over Aguilar. Really, there's no good reason to push with about 21 minutes left in this Grand Prix format event. You can see the track map on the bottom right there of how far ahead he is over Aguilar. And Scribner will see the blue flag here very shortly. I would imagine Scribner will hop out of the way. We still have 14 of our 19 entries out on track. Marcus Wind did retire. Michael Fairchild, after a minute and 42 seconds in his pit stall, did get back out on track, currently running 14th. So trying to get a few points to his name, helping himself as well as the team. I'm still very curious to see, will we see anybody attempt a one-stop race? If I was a man of wager, I would say McAllister might be one of the few people in that position to try and make that happen. McAllister running about 7/10 off his fastest lap of the race. Connor Scribner down pit road for his second time. That will give the clean track back to race leader Fitzsimmons. There's Scribner rolling back out on track. He's going to be right behind McAllister. McAllister a 125.41 his last time by. Now the field very stretched out at this point, but I think this is where fuel mileage is going to become a factor for the competition. Fitzsimmons seems to be hammering out the lap times, a 124.53 last time by, 0.2 off his fastest lap. But these are the original sets of tires, and I don't think we've seen anybody take tires on a stop, I don't believe, ever here at League Zero. They will be double or triple stinting these tires. And I just don't know what's going to happen. I would expect the lap times to really drop off, as Fitzsimmons lost about 0.2 that time by. Now Fitzsimmons' last pit stop was on lap 19. So expecting his fuel second stop to come in around lap 38. I would imagine if he does hit that mark, with only 4 laps left to go for that final stop, I would imagine he would keep tires at that point and just try and get to the end of it. He's still gaining ground on Aguilar, gaining 0.6 that last lap. Now a 5-second gap between the first and second place driver, and it might be a little bit longer. Aguilar just triggered a big off track. Oh, losing all sorts of time, a full second to Fitzsimmons. And we get a report Julian Madore has another big incident in the 78. Takes a long time to get it fired back up and pointed the right direction. Just loses the back end, pirouettes around. Hops off the race line to avoid getting tangled. Waits for the field to get around. And then is able to safely rejoin and get back in the hunt. Now Madore's still running 10th in the 78, so a good points night. As I'm trying to see here, I don't think Madore, yes, has 67 points to their name. Madore is a solo entry, not running with a team so far this season. Highest finish was a 5th back on June 15th. And that was a perfect race with 0 incidents. So I think Madore, if they stay with it and keep in the hunt here, I think could definitely be a contender in future seasons. I can't tell you how many times in the past we've seen drivers come out, have a very rough going, and then eventually get things figured out and find themselves up towards the front. And we've got DC Johnson joining us on the spectator side here on Twitch. Madore down pit road once more. That will be their second stop so far of the evening. It's still Fitzsimmons, Aguilar, McAllister, your top three. Sarkis and Tebow will round out the top five. The million-dollar question, who is going to try something different on fuel strategy here tonight? The Grand Prix format, normally we have a feature event and then a sprint race with half the laps. Today it is 42 laps or 1 hour, whatever comes first. We've got 15 minutes left to go in this main event. So I think we're going to time it right. I think we're going to be able to take a checkered flag without the time window becoming a factor. Medora gets back out on track. Will be rejoining 13th on the circuit. Losing a couple of spots to Servone and Zuhair. A long pit stop from Medora, 45 seconds. Wondering if maybe some sort of penalty was served there, as there is a fairly strict incident limit for our drivers before you have to serve drive-through penalties. 21X triggers the built-in iRacing race control. Speaking of race control, our live race control being served by Chase Small here this evening, the man up in the other booth. They keep him locked in a different side of the tower here at the Red Bull Ring. Antonio Bianchi down pit road. That's going to be his second stop, in and out in 4.6 seconds. Taking enough fuel just to hopefully make it till the end. We've got 9 laps left to go. Fitzsimmons still has a 7-second gap on Aguilar. And Fitzsimmons really hasn't backed off the pace much. I think he's still given about 95%. And the slowly increasing lap times, I would definitely attribute to tire wear. It just clicks off on 124.76, so only 0.4 off their fastest lap of the race. That's with 33-lap-old tires underneath that number 1 machine. Now Fitzsimmons did bring home the sprint win at the Ring Grand Prix, the German Grand Prix last week after 10 laps. So he would definitely love to make it 2 in a row. And if Fitzsimmons brings home the win here today, he will tie for the most wins so far this season. Right now, Aguilar still has those 5 wins to his name. Fitzsimmons has 4. Other than that, you've got Connor Scribner, Reed Gibson, the only other drivers to bring home a win so far this season of the League Zero Formula 3 Series. Devin Hughes down pit road for his second stop. Fitzsimmons clean track all the way around Medora, about 5 or 6 seconds ahead of your race leader. Sarkis comes down pit road for the second and should be the final time in the number 4. Darkus rolls out of pit road, will be rejoining the circuit 6th. Hard charger of the night, Servone, the number 19 machine. Up 7 spots from their original qualifying position. It has definitely been an event of attrition, but Servone staying out there despite, I believe, serving a penalty. And Servone, we talked about the hard charging ability, takes an alternative route here at the Austrian Grand Prix. Able to hold on to it, thankfully. Michael Fairchild down pit road for his 4th stop of the evening, trying to get that machine hammered back into shape after some big incidents. Fitzsimmons clicking off laps, making it look easy. Less than 9 minutes left to go. Fitzsimmons just kind of rocking and rolling a 125.21 last time by. Now, if Fitzsimmons stays true to strategy, we're expecting him to come down pit road at the start of lap 38. He came down pit road last time by on lap 19, so the fuel window is open for Fitzsimmons. It looks like he's going to do it right now. No, excuse me. Got a little bit mixed up there on the track corners. Has about a third of the lap left. Let's see, does Fitzsimmons come down pit road? Or is he confident that number 1 is going to make it till the end? You can see the back end starting to skid around a little bit more free, a little loosened up. I would imagine due to the tire wear. Going to be very interesting to talk to the top 3 after this race as well and see how this long format maybe played a factor. Fitzsimmons stays out another lap. A 124.996. So still very much on pace. Starting to catch up to, I believe, that is 13th Mador. Oh, a bit of a lockup there from Fitzsimmons. Ryan Tebow comes down pit road late into the race, their 2nd stop of the night. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen here on fuel. If anybody, I'm still betting heavily on McAllister. If anybody in this top 3 is going to be able to stretch out that fuel run, I would imagine it would be him. As it looks like Fitzsimmons backing off the pace heavily. Mador actually closing the gap back to the race leader. Mador is 2 laps down from Fitzsimmons, so even if they can unlap themselves in that 78, I don't think it's going to do a whole lot of good. Fitzsimmons down pit road for the final time. And we do have a battle shaping up for 5th. It's Zanabe, Bianchi, and Sarkis linked up nose to tail. Here we go. Bianchi's going to make a move here. Along the inside of Zanave, Ray Aguilar joining race leader Fitzsimmons on pit road. Fitzsimmons rolls out after 4.85 seconds in his stall. Where is that going to put McAllister? McAllister did have a big off track that lap, so all that work may be done for the world famous Aussie. So Bianchi up into 5th. Now Zanave is going to try and fend off Felipe Sarkis. Oh, a big blink there from Sarkis as he pulls alongside Zanave. There's Bianchi's number 17 machine. Zanave down pit road. And here's the battle for second. Ray Aguilar versus Gareth McAllister. Now McAllister had a big off track right as Fitzsimmons and Aguilar roll back out on track. Let's get that replay queued up and see what happened, number 25. Just pushes wide. Loses a whole lot of time there. And unfortunately, I think that was McAllister's shot at bringing home a better position as Sarkis and Bianchi have contact. A bit of netcode there as Sarkis is blinking around. Now Sarkis came down pit road on lap 34, Bianchi lap 32. I think Sarkis may have a little bit more fuel in the tank, a longer pit stop. But man, Bianchi's in a tough spot here. He can't make a move against that number 4. Unable to predict where he's going to disappear and reappear at. 3.5 minutes left to go. Bianchi takes this opportunity and says, you know what, I'll go ahead and come down pit road. Maybe a little bit safer. Is Bianchi going to hit his box, or does he maybe have a drive-through? Oh my, Bianchi has to serve a drive-through in the 17 machine. Comes back out on track 7th in the number 17. And Bianchi just couldn't catch a break there. Just a couple laps left to go as Fitzsimmons comes out in the start-finish line. It is going to be very close if we can make it to the checker, if the time limit is going to hit first. I think it might be a time limit race since the white flag will be out next time by. Fitzsimmons on 125.12. McAllister is down pit road. Is it a drive-through? No, it is a very late pit stop. Is that going to maybe put Ryan Tebow up into podium contention? McAllister back out on track. The McAllister will hold on to 3rd here. As Fitzsimmons has about a quarter of the circuit left to start the white flag. I think it's going to end up being timed perfectly between laps and time limit. Tipping the hat of the admins here, being able to figure that one out. So Fitzsimmons will start his final lap here with a 7.4 second advantage over Aguilar, a 31.5 second advantage over McAllister. We're going to keep an eye out here on the circuit, though. We've seen some pretty wild things happen at League Zero before. I would imagine this may be one of the most cautious laps Fitzsimmons takes in his life. Not wanting to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. A half lap, maybe a bit less for Fitzsimmons. New hair down pit road. And we've got 5 seconds till we hit the time limit. Very good on timing. And the checkered flag will be out this time by Finley. Fitzsimmons brings home the Grand Prix win here at the Austrian Grand Prix. A big, big win for the defending champ. Ray Aguilar will finish second. And we've got a couple corners left to go for Fitzsimmons. And there we go, our final podium contender will take the checkered flag here at the Red Bull Ring. We're gonna wait for our top 3 drivers to make their way up into victory lane. And we are gonna get things started. Up first, we've got 3rd place finisher Gareth McAllister. Join us in the booth, the world famous Aussie, the number 25, up 6 spots, able to finish on the podium with your friend. Gotta be happy with both yourself and your team's performance.
Absolutely, James. It was absolutely phenomenal. I have to say, I got very, very lucky early on in lap 1. I believe turn 2, there was an incident on my inside, and I just went around the outside, and then I was following Jaden Calloway, I believe it was, and he had a self-spin just in front of me. I found that sort of pocket, and from there it was just keep going, chalk off consistent laps, and that's what I did.
Now, Garrett, it looked like you were going to maybe try and make this a one-stop race, and it seems like things were going well until that off track, I believe, was on lap 38, but you had to be getting very nervous at that point.
My incidents I did keep in check much better than my teammate, as I'm sure he will tell you in his interview. You must have to remember to bring that one up. But yeah, no, I kept the incidents in check. I was pretty good with that. But yeah, I seem to save somehow about a lap or so more than most of the field. And I was getting worried towards the end there that Ryan Tebow might have saved enough to make it to the end, because I knew I was just off, but I wasn't sure if I should risk saving it or not. In the end, I saw that Tebow came in a little bit before me, so I decided I didn't need to risk it, and I only needed to take, about a lap or two of, about a lap of fuel, so to make it to the end for sure.
Well, Gareth, a great run. I'm sure you're absolutely pumped to be back up here in the top 3. Before I let you sign off, who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make it happen for you?
Yeah, thanks, James. Obviously, want to shout out you first and foremost. TGS, they do a great job. Check them out. Teamgoonscore.com. But yeah, not only you, James, but also Finley Fitzsimmons, great teammate, has been helping me quite a bit learn the track and learn some small nuances about this car. Been getting faster every single time. I seem to be speaking to you more often this season than any other. I want to shout out my grandparents. I know that they're watching, Bubby and Jeddah. Hello. And I also want to shout out Finley's mum. I know she busts into his room and annoys him on the odd occasion, so it's pretty good that she leaves him alone while he's racing with me in this one. But yeah, all in all, it's been a great race, and cheers to everyone who came out to race tonight. A little bit of a smaller grid than what we would like to see, but still a good turnout nonetheless.
Awesome, Gareth. Always a pleasure, and hope to have you back up here next week, my friend.
Yeah, no worries, James. I'll change my photo. I'll send you a new one by the time that happens, I think, because that picture's a fair bit outdated by this point.
Excellent. We're looking forward to it, bud.
Catch you later.
See you, sir. That was Gareth McAllister bringing it home in third. Up next, Ray Aguilar, the number 72 machine. Ray, it seemed like the opening quarter of this race was a lot of back and forth, wheel to wheel, before things kind of got in a groove for you and the other competitors.
Yeah, bad groove for me, unfortunately. Finley was, excellent tonight. Absolute perfection. I just did not have a great race. After about lap 10, I just could not get a groove in. I kept bobbling, making mistakes, getting off tracks. I had to cool it off. There's no way I could maintain that pace.
Now, so the interesting topic with the pace having to back off and playing the long game, is that a tough transition from our usual format of feature and sprints to find yourself in an hour-long and basically mini endurance in these Formula 3 cars?
Yeah, it is, especially on this track because it's the worst track known to man. So because of that, like this being the extra long one without the exciting parts of the sprint, everything else make it worse for me at least. I would have rather have read a book tonight than drive 40 laps around this track.
Well, hey, you're still able to lock up a lot of points. I think you'll carry the points lead into next week, so got to have some sort of positives after this event, right?
Yeah, that's a good thing. We got maximum points for what my talent level was this evening, and the sponsors will be happy. The little Debbie will be happy that they got another second place on the board.
Awesome. I know you're getting pumped for British Grand Prix where we go back to the regular format, but Ray, before we let you sign off, celebrate, and read that book, who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make this second place possible for you tonight?
The second place almost entirely comes down to lack of talent for me. So want to give a shout out to everyone that helped me train for this. Antonio, everybody else that put me in this position to where I could at least get through a second. Because I'm telling you, I'm terrible at this track. So everybody that did practice, we had hosted sessions, we worked on the lap. The little Debbie number 72 car, they got it prepped in time for the race, which is not usual for them. And my beautiful wife, as always.
Awesome, Ray. Always a pleasure, my friend, and we're looking forward to having you hopefully back up here next week.
Yep. Thanks so much, James.
Thank you, sir. That was Ray Aguilar bringing it home in the number 2 spot. Up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Finley Fitzsimmons. Welcome back to the top. A very exciting race. Then after that, looked like, for the most part, clean sailing for you in that number 1.
Yeah, for the most part, I think everyone had a couple slowdowns here and there, so it's not much of a biggie. But yeah, we could have a bit close on the instant points, I think Gareth had mentioned, but yeah, we managed to get through.
Now, how close were you on those incident points? We saw a few drive-through penalties being served tonight, but how close were you in that number 1 to losing a whole lot of time?
I was sitting 1 under the instant limit for the last 11 laps.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Now, so
it was pretty bad.
Now, that being said, it didn't look like over the duration of this race that you backed off the pace too much. We'd see a 10th here, a 10th there, but was that a safety net you were giving yourself, or was that tire degradation you were fighting?
The tyres felt pretty good all the way through, to be fair. There was a slow sort of drop-off in pace, but not really in the handling. The car sort of handled pretty much the same throughout the race, or, from at best my memory. So yeah, it wasn't really tire deg. It was more, I don't know, really. I suppose in the last 10 laps, that would have been more to do with avoiding the off tracks, really. I had to come into second gear at one point on the exit of the final corner to avoid getting a 1x. But yeah, cut it quite close. But
now, as we continue developing this new format, the Grand Prix, this is the second one of the season, at what point do you think tire wear is going to become a factor and you might see some drivers maybe gamble a little bit and take fresh tires underneath them?
This track, maybe not so much, but other tracks, you can really start overheating the rear tires. And it can really start to get loose on you towards the end. Spa was a little bit like that, where it got really, really loose towards the end of the race. But if you could hold on to it, it was quicker because we didn't have the long tyre warm-up, because it takes so long in these cars. It takes, a good 3 laps to be able to get up to pace. And by which point you've already lost 4 seconds. And if the tyres aren't actually any slower, it's just, a little bit looser. There's not really much gain in it. But I'm not sure. Obviously, this is the last one of the season, but maybe next season, if we get a track that's more rear limited, like Interlagos for the Grand Prix, it could definitely throw up some couples.
Well, awesome. Looking forward to it as well. I know the points championship is going to get closer and closer between you and Aguilar, but Finley, before I let you go, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make this win possible for you?
Thanks very much to Gareth's family for watching, and I know they're watching all the time. I think his grandma's an avid watcher of the league and loves your broadcasts. Of course, thank you for him as well. Another double podium for the team, second of the season, I think second of all time as well. So yeah, brilliant job to him for coming in third place. Thank you, of course, to you, James, the broadcast. 14 Goon Squad, yeah. Thank you, of course, to Antonio and all the race stewards for putting this race on.
Awesome. Finley, always a pleasure. Congratulations, and hope to have you back up here next week.
Thank you, James. Hopefully see it.
That was Finley Fitzsimmons bringing it home the #1 spot. He was accompanied by Ray Aguilar and Gareth McAllister here, round 7, season 7, the Austrian Grand Prix of League 0. I've been your host, James East, with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much to our fans, friends, and family. Tune in, supporting the drivers, supporting the series, as well as supporting the broadcast. I look forward to having you all back same time, same place next week, and I look forward to seeing you. Have a great night, everybody.